Hello and welcome to 1-7. Today we're going to talk about comparing decimals. So that is our goal today, that we will be able to compare decimals. I really liked this picture that I found here. And it talks about how we're going to start on the left and go to the right for each place value to see what its value actually is. So like if we're going to compare 107 thousandths to 11 hundredths, would seem like the thousandths would be bigger because it's thousands and it's more numbers, but really if we start at the ones, okay, they're both 0. If we go to the tenths, they're both 1. If we go to the hundredths, this one has a 0. This one has a 1. So actually 11 hundredths is the bigger number, which kind of really goes against what we're thinking, what our natural instincts might be. So that's why we really need to make sure we're lining things up so we can compare our numbers. Let's do some examples. All right, so here our problem says, Teresa downloaded 2 songs onto her MP3 player. Which song is longer? So one song is 3 6/10, and the other is 3 8/10 of a minute. Okay, so one option we have is to use a number line. Okay, this, if we were to put them on the number line, they would be between 3 and 4. Okay, it's not to scale, so don't look at it that way, but 3 6/10 and 3 8/10 are between the numbers 3, the whole numbers 3 and 4. Okay, so if we put them on a number line, we can see that 3 8/10 is bigger, but the way I really like it is when we line up the decimal points. Okay, so if we're going to compare the digits in the greatest place, first we're going to start on the left and compare our ones place, because that's the biggest place value we have here. They're both 3, so then I'm going to go to the left. Now this one only has 2 digits, so that's not too tricky. But we might have hundredths, thousandths, 10,000ths, 100,000ths, so we might have to go over a few places if we have bigger numbers. Okay, so here we're comparing a 6 to an 8, and we know that 8's bigger than 6. So the ones, I went a little bit ahead of myself. It says the ones digits are the same, so we're going to write same in there. The ones digits are the same. And then if we look and we continue on to the left, like we already talked about, we notice that the 10th place, the 8 is bigger than the 6th. So 3 8/10 is bigger than 3 6/10. Song 2 is the longer one. All right, let's look at some more examples. And actually, first we're going to talk about vocabulary word, and our vocabulary word, which should be written into your notebook, is equivalent decimals. Okay, so what this means is 8/10 written as a fraction or 8/10 written as a decimal means the exact same thing, and it also means the same thing as 80 hundredths or 80 hundredths written as a decimal form. So it says the models show you can annex or get rid of or place zeros to the right of a decimal without changing its value. So really, if we have a number here and there's no other numbers, I can place as many zeros or annex them, get rid of as many zeros without changing its value. Okay, just like if I wrote the number 80 and I said there are 0 hundreds, 0 thousandths, 0 10,000s, 0 100,000s, right? That still is the number 80. So the same goes for after the decimal point. We just need to make sure that we're after that number. So I cannot do 0.08 and say it's the same as 0.8 because that is changing the value of its location. But I can say that 0.8000000 is the same as 8/10. Those two are the same number because that 8 is still in the 10th place. So let's move on. Please make sure you get equivalent decimals, our decimals that have the same value in your notebook, and then we'll do a couple more examples here. Okay, example 2 says we're going to write greater than, less than, or equal in the circle below to make a true sentence. So I have the number 8 and 69,000 hundredths, and 8 and 6 tenths. Ooh, see, now this is a really good example. Kids would totally get mixed up on this. Okay, so what's good to do is always line up your decimal points, line up each place value, and then if you have, like right here, we have a 9 and we don't have anything below it, put a 0. Okay, so we're going to start on the left. 8's the same, 6's are the same. The top one has a 9, the bottom one has a 0. So I know that 8 and 69 hundredths is bigger than 8 and 6 tenths. Okay, so there we go. Let's go to the next one. Okay, it says plot each decimal on the number line. We're going to write less than, greater than, or equal to in each circle to make a true sentence again. So here we go. Let's get started. So 1 is 5 tenths. The first one, we have to do 5 tenths on the number line. And then 7 tenths on the number line. So I can see that because 7 tenths is to the right of 5 tenths, I know that 7 tenths is bigger. And I like how this shows that these numbers are between 0 and 1. Now 1.0 is the same as just writing a regular 1. Okay, so here I have 4 and 40 hundredths, which would go right here. And I have 4 and 44 hundredths. Right, we know 40 is bigger than, or 44 is bigger than 40. So I know that 4 and 44 hundredths is going to be larger than 4 and 40 hundredths, or 4 and 4 tenths. Okay, so we're just working on comparing decimals today, and really make sure that you're lining up your decimal points, lining up each place value, and taking your time to compare them, because it might not always be what you would think it would be. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.